Piracy in the waters adjacent to Somalia has always been a threat to international shipping. Most of the criminals on the high seas are young people from very poor areas, fishermen and ex-combatants, who try to escape their economic situation by carrying out violent kidnappings and large ransom demands. Pirates attack in small groups of 7 to 10 individuals and use fast boats with outboard motors. But, in addition, they are usually armed to the teeth. Among the weapons used during the assaults are AK-47 rifles, PKM machine guns and RPG-7 rocket launchers. The significant increase in pirates attacking merchant ships became one of the main concerns, and measures to solve this problem were not long in coming. In recent times, successful attacks and hijackings by pirates have decreased significantly, but they have not completely disappeared. This criminal activity persists despite the enormous joint work of various air forces from different international actors, who, using incredible planes and drones, work to combat piracy from the air. But how is it possible that the fight against piracy does not give the desired results despite the tireless military effort? To try to answer this question, today we will tell you about some of the operations that were launched in order to hunt down Somali pirates off the coast of Africa, and the main characteristics of the planes and drones used in them. Are you ready? Well then, let's get started. One of the means used by the international community to deal with this criminal phenomenon were the naval military patrols organized in Operation Ocean Shield, carried out by the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, better known as NATO. Maritime operations began on August 17, 2009. The primary objective was to provide naval escorts and a deterrence posture in the region, all while increasing cooperation and work sharing with other anti-piracy missions. NATO allies provided patrol ships and aircraft to the standing maritime groups. Naval forces operated off the Horn of Africa, including the Gulf of Aden and the Western Indian Ocean. There, NATO ships carried out intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions to verify shipping activity off the coast of Somalia. In this way, they were in charge of separating the legitimate traffic from the suspected pirate ships. Commercial ships that transited through the area were monitored and in many cases escorted to ensure their safe passage. NATO ships were allowed to use force to stop pirate vessels or intervene in a hijacking. Thus, they actively persecuted those they considered suspicious and managed to prevent the organization of several attacks. The operation was successful and came to an end on December 15, 2016. However, NATO remained committed to the fight against piracy and took care to establish close ties with other international actors involved in the issue. That was extremely convenient because, by 2017, pirate attacks had returned to Somali waters. The union of various countries and the resources used became a key element in operations of this type. But to better understand its logic and operation, let's go into the details of a specific case. The former French Foreign Legion outpost in Djibouti became the main arena for these relentless fights. There, Western forces began a protracted but largely secret campaign against extremists deep inside Somalia, Yemen and East African waters. To fulfill their purposes, several aircraft were made available to monitor the area to keep it clear. Let's check out some of them. Predator and Reaper drones fly daily from the base, striking targets in restive northern Yemen and southern Somalia. Since August 6, 2014, the General Atomics MQ-1 Predator began to be used for these missions. It is an unmanned aerial vehicle, classified by the United States Air Force as medium altitude and long range. It is mainly used in reconnaissance missions. However, it has the possibility of incorporating 2 AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, which makes it an important combat drone. But, it is not alone. Since September 2009, Africa Command has deployed Reapers to the Seychelles for use in Indian Ocean anti-piracy patrols. The General Atomics MQ-9 Reaper is the world's first hunter-killer unmanned aerial vehicle, designed for long-duration, high-altitude surveillance. The MQ-9 is a larger, heavier, and more capable aircraft than the previous MQ-1 Predator. It is a drone with a medium flight ceiling, long autonomy, and remote piloting that is mainly used to execute moving targets. It has a maximum flight altitude of 15,240 meters, a range of 1,850 kilometers, and reaches a speed of 370 kilometers per hour. As if this were not enough, the aircraft has a multispectral targeting system that allows it to discover and designate targets using laser and infrared sensors, as well as through the use of various cameras that also allow its activity to be viewed live from anywhere on the planet. Both drones play a fundamental role, but due to the high level of control that is required on the coasts of Africa, they usually work together. For this reason, the airbase also has a large group of maritime patrol aircraft from various nations. Since the early 2000s, Djibouti has hosted P-3 Orion aircraft from the United States Navy, the Spanish Air Force, and the German Navy. In 2009, Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force P-3 Orion crews made history by beginning the nation's first overseas deployment since the end of World War II. After suffering a cargo ship hijacking, Singapore also added to this list and deployed Fokker F-50 patrol planes to help police the area. But you may be wondering, what is the specific role of the planes in this mission? Several Lockheed P-3 Orions fly daily from Djibouti and are supplemented by a task force of warships. These aircraft are intended to provide real-time surveillance updates on the position of suspected pirate ships. The Orion is a medium-weight transport aircraft. It has large, straight and spread wings that give it better performance in low altitude and speed flights. A feature especially necessary to carry out surveillance tasks. In addition, it has 4 turboprops inserted in the wings. Each propeller has 4 large blades that can rotate on its own axis, which helps to greatly improve its performance. However, there is a detail about the function of the aircraft that is particularly striking in these cases. Despite the fact that the pirates attack using a wide variety of weapons, the Orions fly unarmed in their raids against piracy. Although military spokesmen declined to comment, aircrews are known to rely on information to neutralize the pirate threat and prefer to avoid the use of weapons. This is because the vast majority of hijackings end with the crew and vessel being safely returned to their owners after a ransom is paid. Any attempt by military forces to use violence against pirates ultimately endangers the crew and hostages. Thus, crews aim to identify suspected pirate ships and warn nearby merchant ships to change course. This could explain why piracy continues to take place in an area that is heavily policed and has incredible drones and aircraft in its favor. The use of force that the military can exercise is limited to self-defense or that of the crews and protected vessels. For this reason, preventive force actions cannot be carried out on suspicious vessels. Young pirates don't have as intimidating equipment as those in the Air Force, but inside their small boats, rifles and machine guns give them all the confidence they need to attack. As a consequence of the efforts made and beyond not being able to put a decisive end to it, there was a significant drop in the number of attacks on ships. However, in 2017, there were some attempts to steal cargo through piracy. The shipping companies are already in charge of finding out if these attacks have returned to the region or if it is an isolated event. For this reason, the alliances to stop the pirates will continue indefinitely and, perhaps, their planes and drones will deploy their full attack capabilities. We reached the end of our video and we want to thank you for joining us here. We meet again in the next episode of Military Aviation.